I'm onto the F100 for this episode and jumping into the front end. If you haven't seen any of the other videos on this build, it is a new build that's in the shop, and I've been doing a little bit of work up on the roof skin of this build. So I have dropped it in the front, lifted it in the rear, chopped off the drip rails and done some work up in the corners into the curvature of the doors that are here, adding a bit of rake into that roof, so having that nice little drop. And it's a subtle modification, but it does add a nice little bit of rake into that roof skin. So if you haven't seen it, have a look at that. And then in this episode, I'm going to be jumping on in the front end, starting off with this panel up in through here. I do want it to be flat and nice through here. So these pressings that were in here, I'll be getting rid of those pressings, adding a bit of a flat plate in there, TIG weld that in, smooth that off, make it a little bit nicer. And down in the bottom, I'll be doing some sort of splitter style. So I'll work out a shape that will look nice, something that I like. While I do that, these bits here will get blanked off as well at the same time. So the chassis used to come through here and it had the bumper bar. So not going to be running bumper bars. So I'll be blanking that off, doing some sort of splitter style all the way through. That'll go all the way around the corners on both sides, all the way through, and then that'll blend up into the style line that's here. So I'll go from that shape and then blend down through up into the wheel arch. So then it's all smooth and nice. Nice few little subtle modifications, nothing too exaggerated. So we'll get into it, start doing some work. Start making this thing look good. Let's cut. I'll cut some blanks at 200 by 150 for now. Cleco those in. I've tacked in some blanks that I cut out for this headlight area where that lump was. Just tack that in, and then when I put the splitter on, I'll weld everything at once. Filled in what I needed to do down in through here, because the splitter will come up. This is a test piece that I've done, and it'll come up to where that is there. So that test piece there, I just ran it through the hammer. I've done the power hammer tooling for it, and that was just a test piece to see what it's like. The customer, that's the shape that the customer wanted, and he's come down, had a look, and he's happy with it. So that'll just be that splitter all the way through, and then I'll taper it off to a height that this side bit is, and then taper that up into the front section where it really pokes out. So that's the first little test piece, and that ran good in the hammer, so I'm happy with it. And then this one, I've gone over to a mate's place because my folder wasn't long enough, and I've done 4 folds, which sort of gives it a bit of a harsh ridge where those folds are, but as it goes through the hammer, it'll crush those down and it'll be nice and smooth and rounded all the way through. But I did the series of folds just to round it off a bit because I didn't have something for the bead roller that was rounded or the folder that's rounded to get that nice round edge prior to putting it through the hammer. And if you run it through the hammer, it's just going to go through the hammer straight and your panel's going to be straight. So I do need to add curve with the curve that is through the front here. And I have been running this through the shrinker, putting a bit of shape into it, and it still needs a lot more. So it does have a fair bit of curve to it already, but that definitely needs more. Still got to drop back like an inch on both sides. So I'll keep pulling that shape around in here, then we'll run it through the hammer, test it up, Cleco it up, tack it in, and then we'll start doing tapers on the edge and then do a line that then blends into the wheel arch. So we'll get into it. Shape. Yeah, jump on the other side. Run through. Sick. Let's go. Come on, good. Yeah. I might have it just come down and hit just a touch harder, do one more pass, and that'll do it. Yeah. Pretty good. I welded a extension piece onto the bottom of this splitter here. Reason being is the amount of material for my kick shrinker. The amount of material, if I had that piece on there, it'd be too much material for my kick shrinker to handle to bring this material around. So I went a little bit shorter, making it easier to shrink it and bring that material around. Added the extension piece, put it through the hammer, planished it out, got it nice and flat underneath. Then that goes back a fair bit underneath. So the split is done. I have lined it all up using lasers. I set this whole front end up square and then lasered along this line, marked it down, and then I've got the green line all the way along here, and then it's nice through here. Shot the laser through onto the sides for the side piece, and then I've clear coated all this together. So now I need to do a corner section, and I'll be bringing that around from the corner and then tapering down into the smaller bit that's on the side. And then this line here will drop down a little bit too as that tapers around. And I'll use the laser and went off this edge here on both sides, marked a line here. So then that's evenly gapped in the center, this panel here, for the blend coming around. And the lengths of these side bits are the same too. So that'll just make that nice and equal both sides. And we'll get into it, keep moving, make these corner pieces. everything's in place. I've done the corner pieces just up in here. So that transition point going from this wide bit down to the narrow is all done. I've tacked it. I do need to grind these back and then fully TIG weld this. I'll do that. I'll unclico it all, TIG it up on the bench, hammer it out, get it really nice around the corners, and just make sure that's all welded prior to putting it onto the car. And then the next thing I want to do through here is I want this to now transition up into here. So I want to make a section so that will blend from this shape down into this shape and nicely have a little transition piece in the corner here, just to make this pretty much seamless and look nice and look like it's part of the car and not a bolt-on piece. So that's the next piece I'm going to do in here, and I think it'll look good. This is how the corner section's looking. I've started with my flat bit of sheet in here and then done a bend through here where it rolls down underneath. Put that roll in on the T-bar and then got my ball peen hammer and just hammered this section in to get some sort of shape. And then I've put it on the bench, kept hitting it with the ball peen to really stretch that in and sort of put it on, take off, on, off, on, off till I get that shape right. And then get the bolster around here to fine tune that back edge, and this edge here is rolled all the way around. So I've rolled that over on the T-dollies and then welded up the joint in here, cut some material out because there'll be a lot of shrinking in here, plus it rolls over, so I've just cut that and then welded it in the corner and sort of rounded it over a bit in there too. So now I've just got to make the other side, tack these on, and then get all of this fully TIG welded up so it's all one piece. That's it for this episode. The front end is all fully done. The front split is on, metal finished up, and I have been putting this front end, fitting it up to this firewall. So the next episode we'll be doing this firewall. I hope you guys have enjoyed, and I'll catch you on the next one.